Hi, friends. I'm so excited to be here with you again today, especially because we are going to get straight down to business and start buzzing about, you guessed it, bees. You might wonder why I like bees so much. Maybe it's because my name starts with a B. That's right. Betsy starts with a B. So maybe that's why I like bees so much. I also like bees because they're pretty important to our everyday lives, but we'll get to that in a second. First, I wanted to say, I understand that maybe not everyone watching right now loves bees for one very big but little reason, and that is that bees have stingers. It's the way that they protect themselves, but it also means that sometimes, if we're not careful, we could get stung. So that's why sometimes people are a little worried about bees. But the important thing to know is that if you let bees do their thing, they've got jobs to do that we're going to talk about in just a second. If you let them do their jobs and you kind of mind your own business, then pretty much you're going to be okay. You just don't want to get in their way and they won't get in yours. So that's my little thing to talk about there. So today, talking about bees, it's a safe space. We're going to talk about their positive attributes. That means the things that they're really awesome about, the great things that they do or just are. And we are going to make a little craft with them. So they're going to be totally fun today. No reason to be nervous or scared of the bees that we're going to be working with today. All right, so getting to it, I wanted to say a couple of things about bees that you may or may not already know. So, first of all, they are pollinators. That's a big word. And I bet a lot of you already know a little something about it because bees fly from flower to flower. I've got a couple of flowers up here today because bees love flowers and they fly from flower to flower spreading pollen. And because of them, we have beautiful flowers to smell. And even more importantly, especially for our tummies, because of bees, we have fruits and vegetables and nuts and all sorts of food that we're able to eat. So they're kind of a big deal, kind of a big deal. So they also have a community. Bees live in a community, and it's very important for them to be part of their colony. And they live together in a hive, which is kind of cool. And within the hive, they make honeycomb. And in the honeycomb, do you know what's inside? I bet you do. Bees make honey. I love honey. I think it's delicious. I think it's delicious on toast. I think it's delicious in yogurt. I think it is delicious. Don't judge me right now, but one of my favorite sandwiches in the whole wide world is peanut butter, honey, and banana. It's delicious. And so that's one of my favorite things to eat. So honey is really important for that. Honey can be on graham crackers. It can be in cereal. Have you ever had something called Honey Nut Cheerios or honeycomb cereal or honey bunches of oats? There are so many different kinds. So I was hoping that you could help me find some different things that have honey in them too. Do you think you can look around your house? And it doesn't have to just be honey. It can actually be anything that a bee helped make. So it can be food that has honey on it, or it can be honey, or it can be something like a fruit or a vegetable or a nut that we can thank the honeybees for helping us to make. Okay, are you ready? You've got 1 minute. Rush really quickly. On your mark, get set, go. Okay, I can see people moving. Zoom, zoom, zoom. I love this. Yeah, you've got to really buzz, get your little wings flapping, and work hard. And you know what another fun thing about bees is? And I didn't even know this until I talked to my friend who has honeybees of his own. Honey can taste different. The honey's flavor depends on what the bees are pollinating. So if they're pollinating orange trees, it may taste different than if they were, say, in clovers or a different kind of area. So, yeah, honey can have a whole lot of variety. Okay, uh-oh, I see people coming back. Ooh, do I see an apple and an orange? Oh, Honey Nut Cheerios. Great thinking. So many great items. Okay, let's count it down. 10, 9, 8. What comes after 8? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're done. Sometimes it's hard to count. I know. It just happens that way sometimes. Okay, great job, guys. I love that you were so busy buzzing around and we were able to find so many great things. Now we're going to change around what we're talking about a little bit. Instead of talking about what bees do, we're going to talk about how bees look. Now, I don't have any live bees for you right now because I'm not crazy. As I mentioned before, bees have stingers, and so I'll let them stay outside with the flowers and the trees and nature. And instead, I made some paper bees to have in my house because I don't want live bees in my house. And I have a little lovey friend here too who can stand in for the live bees. But bees are usually pretty tiny. So even the bees that I have here, I have a little one that's made to look like a bee, and I have the paper bees behind me, and I have this guy up here. Bees are a lot bigger than the bees that you're going to find in nature. Thank goodness, because again, we wouldn't want giant stingers flying around. That would be just crazy. But something to know about bees is their color. Do you know what color they are? You're right. They are primarily black and yellow. And they have stripes, and they have wings, and they have antennae and stingers. They have all of these things. So it's actually kind of easy if you ever want to draw a bee. Should we try drawing a bee right now? Let's do it. So first, I'm going to draw a couple of different kinds of bees so that we can talk about their different types. I'm going to draw a bee using an oval, kind of like the eggs that we've talked about before. So there's one with an oval. And then I'm going to make a bee that's like an 8. See how that's the number 8? I'm going to move it over this way. And then, because I like the letter B so much, I'm going to make a bee that looks like a bee. Okay, so let's do it. So the first thing that we need, of course, is, and this 8, I'm going to make the head a little bit different. We need to add stripes. So I'm going to quickly add some black stripes to all of my bees. Great. You guys can do this along if you have some paper and a marker. Isn't it fun to color? I love coloring. Okay. And then I'm going to make my little bee here with a couple of stripes. Great. Okay. So I've got my bees with stripes. Then I'm going to go ahead while I still have my black marker out, and I'm going to make a little stinger on each of these little guys. And a stinger can be made with just a little triangle. Easy peasy, right? Then we're going to make some wings, and you can make wings in all sorts of different shapes. These ones I'm kind of making bees. These ones I'm just going to make circles. And over here, I'm going to make another bee because that's probably my favorite shape, as I said before. Okay, so we've got wings. Now we just add antennas, and with that, you just do a straight line, straight line, straight line. And if you want to be fun, which obviously I do, you can add a little circle to the top of each of the antenna. Okay, these look pretty good so far, right? So the only thing that I'm missing is just a teeny bit more color because color makes things more fun. So I'm going to color in my stripes with a nice golden yellow. Easy peasy. Okay, I've got some yellow there. And then I have my white crayon, and I'm going to color the wings in so that they are nice and white. And there you go. We have 3 different kinds of ways that you can make bees with just some paper and a yellow marker, a black marker, and a white either crayon or marker. So that's not too hard, right? I'm just going to set these over here. And then I'm going to show you another way that we can make bees that are 3D. Do you know what that means? That means instead of being flat, it means that they're going to be dimensional. They're going to have dimension to them. So first I have to tell you, I started with an idea. I started with an idea of making a beehive, and I thought that would be so fun to make with everybody. But as I was experimenting with it, and that's the best thing to do, right? When we're exercising our brains and we're trying to be extra creative, sometimes we have ideas that we want to try out, and sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't work the same way. But I had this idea to make a beehive, and I thought it would be so cool. Well, I made one, and I didn't like how it turned out. But as I was looking at it, I had another idea, and it actually looked a little bit like this to begin with. It had a back and it had different rings that came together, but it just didn't look right. But when I was looking at it, I thought, if I added a few more strips of paper, I could add a head and then it would look like a big bee. So that's exactly what I tried. I changed my color of paper from just brown. I changed it to yellow. So I used yellow. And then I added a black head and I put some antenna on it. And I made sure I had stripes and wings. And I added a little stinger. And I had a bumblebee that I was pretty excited about. This is a fun bumblebee, right? There was only one problem. It was a little bit tricky to make. And so when thinking about sharing it with my friends right here, I thought maybe it would be a little bit complicated. So I thought, how can I make this easier to share with my friends? So I tried again. And this time I made it smaller. One problem. When I made it smaller, I made it harder because I have something called big grown-up hands. And so when I was twisting all of these papers and weaving them all together, it got really tricky for me. And so I thought, that's probably not the best activity to do with my friends today. So I had to think again about what I could possibly do. And this time I re-envisioned it to make it a little bit more simple. So instead of having lots and lots of little strips of paper, I figured out how I could do it with just a few. And so this is what we're going to work on making. I thought I'd show you what it looks like, and then I'd walk you through how we make it. So what we're going to start with is a few strips of paper. They're a 1/2 inch long. And when I'm cutting paper, I actually have a paper cutter that helps me to cut paper nice and straight. But if you don't have that, that's okay. All you need is a ruler. So I'm going to demonstrate really quickly how you can make a strip of paper all by yourself. So I've got my ruler. I'm going to quickly mark off. For this one, I only need it to be a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark on my paper 1/2 inch, and this is an inch right here. You see where it goes up to the 1, and there's a line in the middle right there. So that's where I know where the 1/2 inch is. So I'm going to mark the 1/2 inch on my paper 3 times, one at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to put that ruler in front of those 3 lines. Then I'm going to use my pencil. I usually use pencil so that you can erase it in case there are any mistakes ever. And look what I've got here. I have got a nice line that I can then use my handy dandy scissors. And I can cut along that line. Now you may be saying to me, this is all great, but I don't have any yellow paper or black paper at my house. Well, guess what? That's no problem either, because I bet you have some white paper and I bet you have crayons, and you can make your own. You can see that you don't need a whole lot of paper for this activity. And so even if you don't have that paper, this color of paper at your house, you can just color a little area on your paper with yellow and with black. I recommend a crayon instead of marker because you still want your paper to be nice and strong, and marker can sometimes make it a little wet and weaker, but you can easily do it yourself. Easy peasy. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, for this craft, I'm going to take my yellow piece of paper and I'm going to have the ends meet together, and then I'm going to fold it in the middle. And then using my scissors, I'm going to just snip along that fold line. And then with the black one, I'm going to do the same thing. With one of the strips, I'm just going to fold it once and cut in the middle, just like that. And for the other one, I'm going to do this 2 times. So doing the same thing, having the ends meet, get your crease in the middle, cut along the center, and then I'm going to do it another time. So I just have this teeny tiny piece. So I've got 2 short pieces and 2 longer pieces. And then I've got a little extra for some finishing touches. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make a ring. And for those of you who participated in the chain activity when we talked about circles, this is going to feel really familiar. And I'm going to use hot glue because it's really fast, but you can use whatever glue you like best. You can use white glue or a glue stick. You can use tape if that's easier for you. You just need to use something to stick it together. So I've got a little ring. Then I'm going to make, using that same length of paper, I'm going to make a second ring. And then I'm going to take one of my yellow strips and I'm going to add glue to one end, and I'm going to stick it to the inside of my ring. So do you see how I did that? Just glued it right to the inside. And then I'm going to take the opposite end of that paper, and I'm going to glue it to the same black ring, folding on the inside. So you kind of make a little basket loop, just like maybe you saw some Easter baskets recently. This just has kind of a little basket loop. And then I'm going to take my other yellow piece and follow the same steps. But this time, I'm going to make sure that my yellow strip is in the middle of the other 2, where I glued the other 2. And see how I already have my basket loop there? I'm going to go just right over the top of it. Add a little bit more glue. And I'm just going to push that right inside, and they touch. See how they're touching right there? They can totally touch. And voila, I have the body of a bee. Now we want to make sure our bee has plenty of stripes. So I'm going to just slide this in like that. Okay, now our bee is missing a head. It's very important for a bee to have a head. So I'm going to take one of my smaller pieces of black, and this time I'm going to fit it in the middle of the yellow strips. See how I have that right there? So rather than lining up with the yellow, I'm going to go just in the middle again. I'm going to put a little bit more glue. Put it in the middle on the opposite side, on the inside again. I'm going to do the same thing this time. I'm going to put glue on both ends at the same time, but you don't have to do that. You can do one at a time on your project. And then I'm going to just push this over to the other end. And we have a bee's face. Then I'm going to take that extra bit of black that I had, and I'm going to show you how we can make a stinger. Now, you can make stingers a couple of different ways. One easy way is to cut a triangle. You can cut a triangle and make it that way. But how I'm going to show you today is I'm going to cut a little strip, and then I'm going to fold over just a little bit. Do you see how I'm just folding over a teeny tiny bit of that black? Then I'm going to fold that over one more time so that I have an L, or kind of a J. This actually makes a J. See how I did that right there? Oops, if I put it against my hand, you can see it a little bit better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other strip and I'm going to fold it in so that it meets in the middle. And look what happened. I made a little triangle. So I'm going to add a teeny bit of glue to the little ridge. Then I'm going to take my strip and glue it to the inside. So again, I've made a little triangle. And now I'm going to stick it on the back of my bee. Now this one I made a little bit thicker, but you can actually cut it in half. So this is a bit of a bigger stinger. If you look at that one, this one I cut it in half. So you can have a more narrow stinger if you want. It's totally however you think it looks cutest. And then I'm going to fold over a little bit more black, just like I did before. And this time I'm going to make the antenna. So I'm going to cut, you can either cut straight strips and do it just straight, or you can cut a strip and add a little circle to the top. And if it's hard for you to do it all at one time, that's okay. You can cut strips and then add a circle to the top of it. So there are lots of different ways you can get this done. Okay. So I have right now they're connected together, but I'm going to snip it in the middle. And then I have two identically shaped antennas. And what I'm going to do is, like I did when I was making the stinger, I'm going to fold over just a teeny tiny bit, add a little bit of glue, because you just need, for this kind of job, you just need a teeny tiny bit of glue. And I'm going to glue the antenna just to the side. I put it right to the side of the head. I'm going to do the same thing again. Now, you might be saying, okay, this is great, but you're missing something important. And you are 100% right. What am I missing right now? The wings. So to make wings, we can do it pretty easily. I just have a little bit of white scrap paper and I folded it over. And I'm going to make, for this one, just an easy oval. See how I did that right there? I'm going to do the same for the opposite side, making just a little oval again. And just like we did when we were drawing the wings, you can make them more interesting if you want to. On this one, I made a little bit of a V shape to give it a little more versatility, but we're going to make this one simple. And I'm going to add just a little bit of glue to the top of one of the sides. And then I'm going to glue it to my bee so that I'm sticking this wing between the two white rings. When I said white, I meant black. To the two black rings. So I'm going to stick my white wing to the two black rings. Do that again. Now, for those of you who are still skeptical of bees and feel like, ooh, I cannot make this project because I just cannot stand bees. And even if you tell me they're cute and adorable, I just do not agree with you. Well, I've got an option for you too, because I want everyone to be able to participate. And that is switch from yellow and black to red and black. And with just a small modification, you can make a little ladybug. You just have to make sure you add some dots because ladybugs have spots on them. So see, there are so many different options of the way that you can create bugs. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to add my little hive here. You know what? At first, I didn't like the hive, but after making all of these bees, I decided I had to make one. And you know how I solved that problem? Instead of just using brown paper, I decided I'd use a little bit of brown paper. So this is like the body of the bee. I used a little bit of brown paper. And then I found gold paper. And doesn't that make this hive so much fancier? So there are so many different projects that you can do by playing with these bees. So I hope you guys had fun talking about the bees. And I want to let you know that I think you are absolutely the bee's knees. And I'm so glad that you're joining me here on BC Storytime on YouTube. And I hope that you'll check out some of the other videos that I have too. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Talk to you next time. Bye.